be completely real with you, it barely registered on my radar when it happened, and I genuinely doubt he cared either. But while head coach JJ Redick did his best to brush off that explosive courtside clash with Luka, Austin Reaves is absolutely not buying that narrative. Now, we all know Reaves usually steers completely clear of the rumor mill. Yet, when a boundary gets shattered, he refuses to just bite his tongue. So the entire basketball community is suddenly echoing a single, massive, "Did Luka completely cross the line?" Before we unpack this crazy drama, smash that subscribe button to catch all our daily hoops updates. All right, let us talk about the bench eruption that literally fractured the internet. We all recognize those rare, jaw-dropping hoops moments that force you to jump off the sofa, snatch up your mobile device, and instantly fire off messages to every single person in your contacts. Those split-second scenes where the broadcast captures pure, unedited chaos that is so incredibly thrilling, it goes instantly viral. It floods social media platforms, blows up group threads, sparks barbershop debates, and dominates every sports talk show. Well, on Saturday evening, March 2nd, 2026, right inside the Chase Center over in San Francisco, one of those legendary spectacles unfolded live for the entire globe to witness. The Los Angeles Lakers were in the middle of completely dismantling the Golden State Warriors. We are talking about a massive 129-101 beatdown. It was such an absolute thrashing that you would naturally assume zero drama could possibly emerge from the blowout. However, that is the magic of wearing purple and gold. Controversy simply ignores the scoreboard. Chaos tracks down this Los Angeles squad the same way a magnet pulls in steel. And during this specific matchup, the tension migrated right to the bench, manifesting as a super aggressive back and forth between their franchise megastar Luka Doncic and their head coach JJ Redick. To truly grasp how this powder keg ignited, we need to take it back to the opening period. LA is cruising. The vibes seem immaculate, yet a specific chain of plays begins mounting intense aggravation, acting exactly like a lit fuse inching toward dynamite. With roughly 3 minutes remaining in the first frame, LA wing Gabe Vincent blows a wide-open bunny at the rim, though shooting guard Max Christie manages to snatch the offensive board and secure the putback. Throughout this entire possession, Luka is visibly irritated on the floor, seemingly arguing over some issue. Perhaps he hated the offensive scheme. Perhaps it was a spacing issue. Regardless of the exact reason, you could visibly spot his temper starting to boil over. Then, during their immediate next trip down the floor, the superstar pulls a stunt that sends his coach's blood pressure straight through the roof. He hoists up a heavily defended jumper and clanks it. Look, we all understand that Luka is arguably the most gifted scoring threat walking the face of the planet. The guy can get a bucket from the parking lot, but frankly, even a transcendent phenom must select his opportunities wisely. And firing a smothered triple while your squad is already dominating the momentum, that is exactly the type of terrible decision that gives a tactician an instant migraine. If you are enjoying this breakdown, make sure to drop a quick like on the video. Anyway, the nightmare continued. On the ensuing defensive stand, the star guard totally falls asleep. He completely botches a defensive switch assignment with his big man Jackson Hayes. And we all recognize the painful consequence of blowing a basic verbal cue on defense, right? An opponent gets an incredibly easy look at the basket. In this case, that lucky recipient was Golden State's Gary Payton, the second, who casually drained an uncontested shot from beyond the arc. Just like that, a massive mental error stemming from poor effort gives up free points, and Coach Redick decides he has absolutely had it. With a mere 56 seconds on the clock for the opening period, less than a minute of action left before the buzzer, the head honcho drops the hammer. He calls for a swap, King James is heading onto the hardwood, and the Slovenian superstar is getting benched. Now, insider sources claim the guard realized he was getting yanked and pleaded with the bench boss to let him close out the frame. Seriously, it was only 56 seconds to go. Why not just let him finish the stretch? However, the coach firmly rejected that plea. Word is, he bluntly informed his star that floor time must be earned. And my friends, that exact sentence is what caused this entire scenario to detonate. While the frustrated point guard marched away from the paint and headed to the sidelines, broadcasting lenses caught every microscopic detail of the fallout. LeBron, who was entering the fray, attempted to offer his teammates some quick love on his way past. Just a quick chest bump, a simple show of brotherhood. However, the bench star was fixated on a completely different mission. He stormed straight past the coach, actively dodging any sort of handshake or greeting from his leader. Listen, if you have ever stepped onto a competitive court in your life, you fully understand that blatantly blanking your superior is the ultimate declaration of furious disrespect. Redick trailed his player right to the pine, the star grabbed a seat, and suddenly a vicious verbal sparring match erupted. So the veteran is stepping onto the floor, and the king attempts to show him some love. Exactly. He completely ignores the gesture. Next thing you know, the head coach confronts him. He literally marches right up to him. Enter league veteran Joe Johnson, the legendary ISO. Joe, who actually unpacked this entire spicy ordeal on his recent podcast appearance, his perspective was incredibly gripping because he is a guy who has genuinely navigated these exact types of toxic locker room fires during his career. As he put it, I shared a jersey with the guy, and he is 100% a zero tolerance type of competitor. He shoots extremely straight and holds nothing back, yet he definitely carries a petty streak. And boy, did that vindictive energy manifest in a spectacular fashion, because right after the boss marched over and barked his piece at his superstar on the sideline, pay close attention to the following second. The guard extends an arm, seemingly offering a truce or a dap, and his leader completely snubs him. He literally just pivots and struts off. So track the footage right after the coach delivers his final message. Check it out. The player goes to show some love. And what does the coach do? Wow. Boom. Just completely leaves him hanging in the wind. Did the Los Angeles Lakers locker room just explode on national television? The internet absolutely melted down when Luka Doncic, a seasoned veteran and perennial most valuable player contender who ranks among the greatest young talents the National Basketball Association has ever seen, took serious offense to a snubbed high five. Before we unpack this wild drama, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for daily hoops content. He aggressively popped up from the sideline seating and immediately started barking at head coach JJ Redick. Amateur lip readers on social media wasted zero time decoding the explosive footage, and their shocking translations caught fire instantly. If you believe the most popular online transcripts, the heated exchange went a little something like this. The coach leans in and snaps, "What is your issue? You just swatted my hand away. Why are you so mad?" A seated Doncic shoots back, "I absolutely did not." The coach barks, "Sit your behind down." That is when the superstar jumps up yelling, "Excuse me? Yo!" Right. At that tipping point, when things were inches away from turning into a complete live broadcast disaster, an absolute hero stepped up from out of nowhere. Jared Vanderbilt, the backup wing chilling nearby, sprang into action, clapping aggressively while literally wedging his body right between his franchise player and the coach, acting as the ultimate peacekeeper. Vanderbilt urged the furious guard to take a seat, which eventually worked. If you rewatch the footage, you can see Vanderbilt totally defusing the bomb before it detonated. It was a legendary veteran move. However, when it comes to the ruthless court of public opinion, the damage was entirely unavoidable. The clip was everywhere, racking up millions of streams and triggering countless hot takes as everyone and their mother weighed in on this incredibly tense showdown between the Los Angeles franchise cornerstone and his rookie sideline commander. The burning question remained, is paradise crumbling in Southern California? What is actually happening behind closed doors? Listen, anytime a dispute blows up like this, with endless eyeballs watching an elite talent scream at his superior during a live game, the sports media circus completely loses its mind. Every single journalist holding a credential, every talking head on television, and every retired athlete running a podcast desperately claws for the inside. Scoop! Less than 24 hours after the blow-up, rumors and statements flooded in from all across the hoops universe. Yet, the most crucial perspective belonged to the head coach himself. On March 3rd, right before tipping off against the New Orleans Pelicans, he faced the press corps, diffusing the tension with that cool, collected swagger of a guy who has survived intense basketball environments forever. He casually brushed it off, stating he barely registered the moment as a big deal. He confidently noted that his star player felt the exact same way, emphasizing their incredible mutual respect and strong bond. But the coach was not finished dropping truth bombs. He elaborated that intense emotional flashes are literally woven into the DNA of pro hoops. The aggressive passion, the raw energy, the fiery spirit, bridging athletes and coaching staffs, it is all just part of chasing championship glory together. By the way, if you are loving this breakdown, drop a quick like and hit subscribe to support the channel. He clarified that while these flare-ups might not occur every single night, they are incredibly common behind the scenes. Furthermore, he noted that occasionally, you simply need to hash things out openly, whether that is boss to employee or just guys holding each other accountable in the locker room. The defining quote, however, was an absolute masterclass. The moment the play caller stared down the lenses and demanded the panicking fan bases take a massive chill pill. He reminded everyone that it is pure competition, simply two deeply driven guys, desperately fighting for a victory and figuring out how to perfectly align their strategies in the heat of battle. Then, showcasing authentic confusion regarding the media circus, the former sharpshooter dropped a quote highlighting just how ridiculous today's 24-hour outrage machine truly is. He expressed that he actually begs his roster to speak up, confront the staff, and vocalize exactly what they demand on the hardwood. He further leaked that the two men had completely settled the imaginary beef, totally joking about the viral madness in private. He casually mentioned catching up with his star and just dying of laughter over the headlines. During another press availability, the coach peeled back the curtain on their private chat regarding the trending clip. He explained, telling the superstar he felt absolutely zero bad blood, to which the elite guard replied he completely ignored the incident, basically saying, "You get mad for a second and then flush it completely." Honestly, that declaration should have permanently buried the drama. Two mature professionals, boss and employee, promising the public there was zero animosity or toxic tension brewing underneath. However, we are talking about the purple and gold here. Things are notoriously complicated out in Tinseltown. Enter Dave McMenamin from the top global sports network, essentially the ultimate insider for the franchise, who dug past the surface. Dropping bombs on daytime television, the trusted journalist stated he contacted various heavy hitters across the association and inside the facility, getting the exact same answer from everyone. The entire scandal was totally fabricated noise. One anonymous executive nailed it, explaining that Southern California turns minor hiccups into massive earthquakes simply due to the ridiculous spotlight constantly glaring down on this historic organization. Another insider from the players' camp insisted the two actually boast an incredibly tight brotherhood spanning almost 10 years, proving these two fierce competitors have nothing but respect for each other. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Welcome back to the channel, Hoops fans. Hit that like button and subscribe right now so you never miss an update. Let's talk about fiercely driven guys who demand greatness from one another, because honestly, that is the exact kind of fire you want between a coach and a player. Plus, a reliable insider gave us some major behind-the-scenes details that everyone completely ignored when they were so eager to scream that the Los Angeles Lakers were falling apart. The squad was fresh off a brutal 3-game skid, and tempers were already boiling over. As that insider accurately noted, try finding a single elite superstar in the league who is not pulling their hair out during a 3-game losing streak. You will not find one, because they simply do not exist. Then, heavy hitter Rich Paul jumped into the conversation. For anyone out of the loop, Rich Paul is the mastermind behind Clutch Sports Group and easily one of the most influential agents in the entire sports world. He manages LeBron James and has serious ties running deep inside the Lakers front office. So when he drops knowledge about purple and gold business, the whole basketball world tunes in. He explained that holding each other accountable creates a solid bond, proving there is deep mutual respect for the superstar and an equally profound respect for the man drawing up the plays. Paul did not just brush the drama off. He completely flipped the script. He painted that heated moment as a sign of raw passion and a hardcore dedication to chasing rings. He pointed out that this kind of friction actually builds a stronger bond, saying he has watched enough top-tier coaches go toe-to-toe with their franchise guys. Finally, Paul shut down the crazy rumors by reminding everyone of the history behind these intense moments. He mentioned that in today's click-crazy sports media landscape, everyone is just hunting for the next viral meltdown. Hey, if you are loving this breakdown so far, drop a like and hit subscribe. Of course, not everyone was willing to let the issue fade that fast. Ex-pro Al Harrington, dropping his takes on Fox Sports 1's First Things First, brought a completely different angle to the table. He was not about to write the whole thing off as a nothing burger. He straight up said they do not look like a title contending roster, and their ball movement is miles away from championship caliber. Harrington totally admitted that every single locker room deals with some level of toxicity, but he argued that Los Angeles' underlying issues go way beyond a quick shouting match on the bench. He argued that you can usually sense right out of the gate what type of campaign a squad is gearing up for, and he strongly felt that the Lakers, right from tip-off this year, were missing that undeniable, gritty championship aura. And then, guys, we got the most hilarious twist to this entire soap opera. Luka Doncic, being the ultimate jokester that he is, playfully faked another massive screaming match with Coach Redick in the very next matchup, putting on a show just to see if Jared Vanderbilt would leap off the bench to play Peacemaker again. That hilarious stunt basically proved what the inside reporters had been saying all along. It was never that deep. The boys were totally cool. The internet just went into full meltdown mode over an intense flash between two guys who live and breathe hoops, focusing on the new big three and what is really on the line. But here is the actual truth that the viral bench spat brought to light. It is absolutely not about how Luka and JJ Redick get along. What that little dust-up really revealed is the massive, complicated puzzle that Los Angeles has been desperately trying to solve since day one. How on earth do you make a trio of Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reaves actually dominate? Because while we can all admit the timeline blew that argument out of proportion, no one can ignore the massive, glaring doubts surrounding whether these three elite talents can actually mesh on the hardwood and deliver a title. And frankly, the stats for the majority of the campaign have been straight up terrifying. Looking at the first 152 to 200 minutes, where Luka, LeBron, and Austin shared the hardwood, Los Angeles registered an abysmal net rating of around 7.8 to 9.8 per 100 possessions. Just to paint a picture for you, that is lower than some of the absolute worst tanking franchises in the association. Their offensive rating was stuck around 106 to 111 numbers that would basically put them in the league's basement. And as for the defensive rating, do not even get me started. We are talking 115 to 121 during their absolute ugliest runs. Jason dropped what might be the most savagely accurate breakdown of their mess on First Take, and it definitely hurt because he was spot on. He stated that the biggest headache the Lakers are dealing with on the offensive end, when all three heavyweights are out there, boils down entirely to catch and shoot, execution. He then broke down exactly why their perimeter shooting has been such a massive, fatal flaw for this hyped up trio. Simply put, King James and Luka have been absolutely terrible catch and shoot players this year. And honestly, it is a huge bummer because that is the entire foundation of the problem. When a team runs three guys who constantly need the rock in their hands, the system only survives if the two players who do not have the basketball can actually make defenses pay by draining open looks. Unfortunately, both LeBron and Luka have been throwing up bricks in that specific category this year. Before we wrap up, remember to smash subscribe. The defensive size problem is just as scary with a 41-year-old LeBron, Luka operating as the lead floor general, and Austin Reaves roaming the outside. The Lakers are simply getting bullied defensively. We are literally watching Reaves trying to lock down absolute tanks like Zion Williamson, giving up a ridiculous size difference of almost 90 pounds. When questioned about that brutal, let's kick things off with Austin Reaves keeping it 100% real about that wild play. Sometimes you just have to dodge the freight train. When asked if he really dodged contact before halftime, his response was priceless. He admitted he was absolutely petrified and flat out refused to absorb that hit. Taking a charge was completely off the table. Before we dive into the juicy details of this massive Los Angeles turnaround, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to stay updated. Now, here is why the purple and gold faithful should be hyped. There is finally a massive silver lining. Ever since the mid-season festivities wrapped up, this superstar trio has stayed off the injury report and logged serious runtime. Because they are sharing the floor regularly, the analytics have completely reversed. Over their past 7 matchups, which translates to roughly 142 minutes of action, These three absolute ballers generated an offensive efficiency of 110.7, locked down opponents with a 101 defensive score, and crushed a plus 9.7 net rating. We are talking a full 180-degree pivot from their early struggles. Plus, these are not just padded stats against lottery-bound squads. We are seeing legitimate, concrete tactical shifts fueling this surge. Head coach JJ Redick recently opened up about the massive egos being checked at the door. Redick pointed out that the toughest hurdle is managing the floor when all your heavy hitters are out there simultaneously, simply because every single one of them demands touches. The harsh truth is that certain superstars absolutely must surrender some spotlight. Compromise is mandatory here. Luka Doncic has seen his offensive involvement dip to 33.9%, while Reaves sits lower at 22.4%. Meanwhile, King James is currently playing with the lowest ball dominance metrics of his entire professional life. They are all taking a back seat for championship aspirations, and the tactical brain trust has pulled all the right strings. By injecting Marcus Smart into the rotation for perimeter lockdown purposes, rolling out heavy zone coverages, and perfectly timing substitutions, every headline player now gets a chance to orchestrate the offense alongside the bench mob. By the way, after dodging the millionth media question regarding how this blockbuster trio was meshing, Doncic fired back a response dripping with both blunt truth and total exhaustion. He admitted that their synergy remains an ongoing puzzle to solve. Despite needing way more reps behind closed doors, the Slovenian phenom believes they are finally finding their rhythm. Yet, casting a massive shadow over this entire grand experiment, the bench blowups, and the X's and O's, is the looming elephant in the room regarding the impending offseason. Reaves is quickly approaching the negotiation table for a jaw-dropping $241 million maximum contract. Renewal in Hollywood. Remember, he boldly rejected an $89.2 million bag last summer to gamble on his own ceiling, and man, did that wager pay off big time. His representation, Aaron Riley, alongside the Los Angeles executives, are completely aware of the stakes. The homegrown guard desires to stay put, and management desperately wants him retained, though it will cost a literal fortune. Oh, and let us not forget the 41-year-old icon wrapping up his 23rd professional campaign, coasting on that activated $52.6 million player clause for the current schedule. James hits the open market with zero restrictions in a few months, and he is playing his cards incredibly close to the vest. During the midseason showcase, media hounds hounded him about his next chapter. The legend merely brushed it off, stating he is just enjoying life, and the second his mind is made up, the world will hear it directly from him. Right now, he is completely undecided. Meanwhile, whispers of a dramatic return to the Cleveland Cavaliers are catching fire. ESPN insider Brian Windhorst dropped a bomb indicating a massive homecoming is highly probable, provided the superstar is willing to slash his salary. Even Donovan Mitchell went on record saying an Ohio reunion would be pure magic. We are talking about the ultimate fairy tale finale that not even top-tier screenwriters could dream up. However, let us focus on the immediate reality, as Los Angeles holds down a solid 37-24 record, sitting comfortably in 6th place out west. That fiery screaming match between Doncic and Redick over by the bench did not signify a crumbling locker room. Rather, it proved these guys are utterly obsessed with securing victories. Occasional emotional eruptions are just the byproduct of intense competitive drive that broadcast lenses catch and social media blows completely out of proportion. Word on the street is that both Reaves and the Slovenian maestro are begging James to stick around for a minimum of one final run. The brotherhood is authentic, the hunger for a ring is palpable, and those gradual, flawed, yet extremely visible steps forward are entirely legitimate. Sure, this three-headed monster in LA has flaws, and perhaps it always will, but as Reaves highlighted when questioned about optimal rotational strategies, playing coach is above his pay grade. The only task he and his squad need to focus on is clocking in daily, leaving everything on the hardwood, yielding to one another, and believing this journey ends with a parade. He emphasized that roster decisions belong strictly to the men with the clipboards, and his sole duty is to lace up his sneakers and hoop whenever his name is called. Frankly, that humble response is the absolute epitome of the down-to-earth mentality we have come to expect from him. Zero theatrical nonsense, absolutely no dodging accountability. Just toss him the rock and let him work. This relentless vibe is exactly what this franchise requires to survive. It is the exact type of fuel needed to power a deep postseason marathon. Furthermore, it is the kind of momentum that could easily erase the public memory of that viral 12-second meltdown during a massive blowout over the Golden State Warriors. If you loved this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more daily sports heat, and tap the suggested links on your display to keep the basketball talk rolling.